Hi everyone. So this week I'm putting together a video where we are talking about social work in libraries and just what that looks like and finding out information on how those programs get put together and what you might want to look for if you are also thinking about doing a program like this in your library, setting up services like this. Libraries are spaces for everyone, so I think that it's great that in my library we're able to do a program like this, but I wanted to actually bring a social worker that works with us in, and this is Rebecca Barker.
Hello.
And she has been kind enough to join me here and give up a little bit of lunchtime so that we can talk about this and everything. So,
Yeah.
Rebecca, welcome to the Mountain View Neighborhood Library.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell me how this whole project got started.
This whole project got started about 3 years ago. The first step was a librarian at our Central Public Library, LUSAC, reached out to a professor in our local university's social work program. And they basically got together and just started talking about what was needed in the library. The library knew that a lot of people come to the library with all kinds of questions. And sometimes these are like research or genealogy, but sometimes they're like job applications, how to find housing, and other things that are just kind of beyond the traditional scope of the resources, the physical resources in a library. So what started was the placement of an MSW intern in that library for the limited part-time work that a student could provide, basically to talk to folks with questions that librarians couldn't answer. They had someone on site that they could refer to and say, hey, if you have a housing question, talk to this intern. And then that process could start of like, well, have you applied for affordable housing assistance? Have you applied at this agency, that agency? And someone to kind of walk them through that process and connect them to the resource that's in the community. So that program started up and ran successfully for the first year, and then expanded in the second year to your library with the second intern. And then using the data collected over those 2 years, folks were able to get together and petition for funding to provide a full-time MSW, and I'm very fortunate that that got to be me. Yeah. So we started about 16 weeks ago, and it's going okay right now.
Yeah, I originally ran into you doing some tabling work here at our library, connecting people with food services,
housing. It was a particular outreach role that I had after graduation before this job. So it was just one of those fortunate like small town connections. And so those agencies often do table here and in other community locations, but Mountain View is a great spot for it.
Yeah, and I don't know if people know about this. Mountain View is a neighborhood, used to be its own town, separate from Anchorage, but it is one of the most ethnically diverse in the United. In fact, I think it was rated in 2017 as the most ethnically diverse neighborhood in the United States, because we have a lot of people that are refugees or they are immigrants. They come from all various backgrounds of life. We have also families that have lived here for generations, and we have a lot of poverty in this area. So it's been really great to see how people interact and grow utilizing social services offered through the library. But I'm wondering, like, how new and large is this as far as libraries? How many libraries actually have programs like this?
In general, it's hard to know exactly, but it's basically sweeping the nation. Right now there's 78, give or take, programs that are active just in the US, but there's also programs in Canada and Australia and various other places. A lot of these jobs are grant funded, so they come and go sometimes, and a lot of them are intern run, so they come and go. But that's the current count right now, as far as I know.
And so, like, this has to be a lot different, like a different dynamic than going and working in like an actual agency. How is that different?
It's a great question. It is very different because traditionally social workers and social work agencies provide a specific specialized service for a specific specialized population, service to match need, and there's different agencies in towns that are supposed to work with those specific needs. And the thing about that is that sometimes, I mean, they deliver great quality service and to their specific population, but that doesn't mean that everybody knows about every agency. So sometimes folks get missed. People might need something but not know about it, or not know about certain programs that came online maybe in the last year, things like that. So one of the good roles, the good features of this role is that you can provide that information to the public, but then also you're in a unique position to network. I'm in a unique position in the city to network with agencies like food stamps, SNAP outreach, housing outreach, mental health outreach. All three of those do their own kinds of outreach, but having someone to coordinate with at the library whose full-time job is to know about all those resources and bring them to people keeps things current and it keeps people connected. That's the idea, is you shorten the bridge between general public and the resources they may need.
So you're working almost as a type of a reference librarian, but you go even deeper because you can actually sign them up for programs rather than just offer them some information, correct?
Yeah, and I can, because I don't have a specific, because my role is within the library, I can get those applications and assist with filling them out, because that can be really stressful. If you've ever seen a social service application of any kind, it is usually a lot of information, a lot of fine print, and it can be really stressful. So just having somebody there who can kind of take the time and space to walk somebody through that can create a stronger connection so that people don't just apply and forget about it. Or if they don't hear from that agency, they don't just walk off. They have someone who's sort of a midway point, not as intimidating as walking up to an agency, maybe, and sort of being that warm handoff.
Okay, so you do a lot of handing off, like the connection is made and then you hand them off to like those specific agencies.
And that's the idea. The idea in my particular role is not necessarily to provide therapy in the library. It's not necessarily to provide material support, like actually give people food in the library, but I might tell them about a food pantry that they don't know about. I might connect them to an agency that has boots or mittens. We're in Alaska, so those are important to hand out to them. So
it's like 12 degrees outside right now.
Yes, and we got like 20 inches of snow in the last 4 days.
So around here, if you're homeless, like it's freezing cold.
Yeah.
And so the library is like one of the places that people are coming to every single day. And it's, I think, speaking as a manager for a library, it definitely changes the atmosphere in the library and how we interact with people when I have somebody here who's able to step in certain cases before we have like a larger issue that might lead to a trespass or something, because a lot of times the MSW might actually have some idea as to what this person's going through already based off like previous contact, things of that nature, and they're much more ready in my mind or in my experience to talk to that person rather than just talk to a security guard. And a lot of librarians and paraprofessional staff are like, we don't know how to help them or where to direct them towards in those cases. So it's been a real blessing to like have you come in and as well as the student interns come in and help out and stuff. I note the difference in atmosphere when you are here. So thank you very much.
I'm so glad to hear that.
If really quickly, before we wrap things up though, if another library was interested in starting a program like this on their own, where do you think that they should definitely go to, like maybe one or two places they should go to get this going?
I would say there's two pieces of advice I would give in terms of options. In our case, the library approached the School of Social Work. That's very local. If you have a School of Social Work at a local university, reach out to them, find their field coordinator for their practicums. The other option is if you are interested in having somebody who's on site and developing the sort of like mentality, is talk to all of your agencies in town and get their outreach people to come in as often as possible. So I would say two-pronged approach, because that primes the agencies to remember that libraries are an important element of their service, and then also you can connect with the university and start building that program from there.
Cool. All right. And what do you, for those people who are social workers who are going, oh, libraries might be an avenue for me, what do you have as advice for those people?
Well, I would say talk to your local librarians. I would say try to develop some sort of regular programming, like a weekly thing where you're just there at a regular time, like 2 to 5 on Mondays or something along those lines. Get your people out of their office and just spend a little time. You can also make sure that your information is available in the library. Flyers are everything in social work, at least in my
Libraries
experience.
do sometimes.
Right, yeah, it's still a paper world in some ways. And especially because a lot of the folks who are highest need, at least in my experience, are not as computer literate and not as tech literate as folks who are not in that crisis situation. So I would say, yeah, get your paper out, get yourself out there.
Yeah, and I think that there can definitely be specializations depending on like your community and what those needs are. So if you have a lot more homeless youth, they can be very technically inclined on one side, but they may not know that it's okay to ask for assistance, and so creating that space where it's acceptable for them to have those conversations that are really tough and that they might be really scared to talk to an adult in certain cases. That would be one focus. And then if you have like an older population, then you're realizing and recognizing that there's some other needs that might be there, including low literacy, which libraries are big on, like trying to increase literacy and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any websites that you would recommend for people to go to as well?
I would say if you're looking for a community of folks who do this kind of work, go to the Whole Person Librarianship website. Whole Person, like the entire WHOL website. They have basically, and they also have a Google group that you can join if you have questions. And these are the leaders in the field. So that's San Francisco, that's Denver, that's New York. You know, places that have been doing this for almost 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's they've been a huge resource for us as we're developing this program.
Yeah, and I think that you can definitely check with the ALA as well to see what information they might provide to, I know there's, ALA always is seeking to branch out into other areas and explore the ways that libraries can become more dynamic in their communities. So, well, thank you very much for coming
Thank you so
in.
much for
I
having me.
appreciate having you in. It's always great to have you here.
It's great to be here. I love it here.
Yeah. So thank you guys also for joining us, and we'll see what happens in about 2 weeks, and I'll roll out another video. I don't know what it will be right now, but we'll figure it out. Thanks. And now you get to see like my low tech side of things, because I'm waiting to get like a GoPro and have like, I don't know, remote control or something so I can turn it off. But I'm gonna get up close and turn it off. Bye guys.
Get a drone.
Drones, yeah.